one man saying that is fine. If that's your opinion and you're not in it, that's fine. But there is an entire market of millions and millions of people that agree that it is a store of value. So, you can think one thing, but there's also a market, and markets tend to become efficient over time.
We do know that you will always get paid in Hex on a daily basis. And that is truly the miracle that we call Hex, because it is trustless interest, trustless yield. Nothing will stop that contract from running.
What the hex? Nope, wrong show. How's it going?
What is going on? I think
Ewok. Good to see you.
Hey, Broke Boy just froze up, so he's just getting back in.
It's okay. Get all the rugs out of the way. It'll be smooth sailing from here.
It's funny because my phone started playing. I couldn't figure out where I was hearing this echo because I have my headphones on, and there he is.
Black Sabbath boy.
There I am. Sorry about that.
There he is.
I like it.
How's it going? I was going to do the I am Iron Man. Yeah. How's it going, everybody? Sorry about that. I probably have a little bit of a delay. My shit's all... Exactly, yeah. My shit's all effed up tonight. But welcome in, everybody, to the Creative Crypto. As you can see, we do have our friend RHMax is in the house tonight to talk. Man, it's a lot of stuff. We got PulseChain developments. We got Ethereum finally making a little bit of a move right now, which, let's hope it's sustained and here to stay as it charges against Bitcoin a little bit. We want to hear from you guys in the chat, so hit us up. We'll appreciate all of that. But yeah, happy to have Max in the house, of course, fresh off the PulseX conference just a couple of weeks ago. Now the dude's out. We got a third conference coming up. We got a Hex conference now coming up as well. So somebody had to pick up the slack. Somebody had to pick up the torch, and RHMax has done it. So I guess first off, man, we'll just say welcome to you to the program. It's your first time on our show. Obviously, we've been friends for quite some time, but how are you feeling about the market and everything? And, maybe just tell us quick about how you are enjoying doing these conferences, because you're proven to be somebody who can really throw them together. So.
Yeah, first off, long-time listener, big fan of the show. Appreciate you both. I think the first time we've been on screen together, because you have been on my show, first time been on yours. Haven't seen you at the conference yet. Come on. One day. It's all right. But yeah, I just want to say I appreciate both of you. As you can see in my comments, I've always tried to show appreciation, because just like the What the Heck show, you guys and a lot of the regular shows out there, you're keeping everybody informed. And I really appreciate you guys out there just putting in the work and doing the stuff. And I love listening to the show. I listen to it pretty much every week. So thank you for that. And yeah, Hex conference. I'm not calling it a conference. People may call it a conference. I'm calling it Hex week. It's more than a conference. No, it's more. I talked about this earlier today when I was on stream. It's a reason I'm calling it like a Hex week or a Hex event. A conference, I feel like, is more encompassing of different stuff. Like, the last two, the PulseX one, the Pulse Conference 2055, I had longevity, AI, we got Hex in there, PulseX and all that stuff. And pretty much for both of them, this one is pure Hex. This is Hex and products built on Hex. And that's it. That's why I'm going to try to keep this as clean and straight to Hex as possible. And I'm going to try to do that for 5 days in a row. So that's my challenge to myself this time, is please, everyone, sign up and help me make this a super, super Hex week. So anyways, that's the kind of the difference. That's why I'm not strictly calling a conference. Again, people can call it that. It's fine. But it's just I want this to be hey, this is about Hex. And we're going full Hex on this one. So
good stuff.
I think, yeah, that's a lot of stuff. But yeah, where do you want to go from there?
What? I want to say thanks to you, first of all.
My bad. Yeah.
He's delayed, but I wanted to say thanks to you as well. You're out there doing it every day, or a couple times a week anyway. I try and catch you as much as possible too. Both of us have jobs during the day, so it's difficult, and that's probably one of the reasons you haven't seen us in one of the conferences yet, and our schedule for streaming is a little off, but we'll get there. We'll talk off air about it, but I would definitely like to do something if my schedule works out for the Hex week. I don't know if there's a evening. I know you kind of stop around 6 or 7 p.m. Eastern, but I definitely like to help out or be a part of it in some way or another.
Yeah, and it's on the panels and stuff too. When people sign up, this is general for you guys and everyone else too. Signups probably coming out, sneak peek probably coming out this weekend, and then we got like 3 weeks until the event too. But there's panels on there that I kind of treat them as a reservation, so you can sign up, and at the time, I'll do all the scheduling and all that. And if there's a preference or time or whatever, you can let me know, like all that stuff too. But even like the panels, the talks are one thing, like, everyone, like their schedule at a certain time. The panels are kind of, there's more like a reservation, I say. So even if you're not sure if you can make it or whatever, feel free to sign up. And if you can't, that's totally fine. Like last couple conferences, plenty of people signed up for panels. Most people showed up. Some people only showed up for certain ones, only, that fit their schedule. Totally okay too. So the panels are more for reservation because it is kind of fluid. It's just people kind of coming in and out. And until the day of, I don't know exactly who's going to be on it. I can see who signed up, but there's some additions. There's some people who can't come, so totally fine. So I try to keep it flexible like that too.
Cool. I think Broke Boy's having some major issues with freezing. Yeah, he dropped off. Anyway, let's take a look at the charts here. Get started with that. At least we can take a look at whoops. Yeah, here we go.
Ethereum's been pumping. Hex has been great on the weekly. I did a stream earlier about it's been one of the biggest bubbles today and among big crypto. So we pumping lately.
Yeah, Ethereum looks fantastic. We are having a little bit of a pullback there. Bitcoin holding steady above 118 still. I believe it made it up to like 123, 120. Yeah, 123 something. Pulled right back immediately. But, we were talking about this a week or so ago, how some of these levels get to be their mental levels where people set sell orders just because it's 125,000 or whatever. So the price automatically reacts to that. But what are your thoughts here on Ethereum? I mean, I know getting into things with the treasury and all of that, how it's looking pretty good, but what are your thoughts on the market?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't not seen, and again, I'm probably the victim of the algo as well, but I keep seeing more bullish Ethereum stuff being pushed to both on social media and on YouTube and all that too, and more people. You got Tom Lee doing the thing with Ethereum, like the MicroStrategy of Ethereum type deal. Peter Thiel's, I think, an investor in that as well. I talked about before. You've got just a ton of Ethereum bulls coming out of the woodwork, and great for PulseChain too, of course.
Sure.
You can debate whether are we leverage on Ethereum and all this stuff. People look at it, directly, indirectly. I just got to say, I mean, the way I look at it is more the market in general. If it's going up and Ethereum's going up, and you think that Bitcoin's going to run, then Ethereum's going to run, altcoins are going to run, and all these things need to happen first. Then that in general feels like, hey, like this is like good stuff. Even if you don't own any ETH and you only PulseChain or you own a little bit of both,
right?
It's looking super bullish out there.
It sure is. You forgot to mention one family who, kind of the president of the United States.
Oh yeah.
The Trump family. Yeah, they're pushing ETH on pretty hard too. So we can't forget about them. Let's look at the Pulse charts right now. We've got Pulse at 0.000316 or 40, sorry. PulseX 40233. Got incentive at $1.54. Hex 00697 and eHex at 00201. Any of those charts that you want to take a look at directly? Are you there, Max?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I got rug too.
What happened? Any of those that you want to take a look at the chart of? Let's look at Pulse here.
Yeah, I was thinking one interesting thing just on this. I was literally looking at PLS charts earlier. I never look at the prices, like very, very rarely. A little bit more these days because things are pumping, but we can look at Pulse, but also I'll just say that Hex on PulseChain up a lot, and Hex on Ethereum not so much, which is usually like Hex is like the ink of the hexes. It's like the one that's usually the most volatile and usually going up a lot. So that was shocking to me as well.
Absolutely. Well, I forget which one was it. The PulseCoin list? No. Which one were you looking at earlier? Was it Pulse Charts?
Yeah. So PLS Charts is what I was doing earlier.
So when you look at it, the liquidity for EHEX is only 450,000, which means it moves a lot harder. And I think just a little bit of sell pressure is what's causing this, and the recent whale dumping affected it a little bit more because of the extra liquidity on Hex on PulseChain. It held up a little bit better. However, don't be surprised when EHEX gets turned around a little bit faster. I think it'll easily make a comeback. So
I hope somebody does some deep analysis on this too, whether it's Ben or Crispy or somebody. Ben usually does. Ben Sierra does the monthly Hex updates and a lot of different metrics. But like you said, we've seen the Hex, the whales dumping and all that a lot. And I wonder if they were dumping more, if it got eaten up a lot more on PulseChain, or if they were dumping both. I don't know. I haven't came across a lot of analytical posts for it to dive into it. Maybe somebody will make one as well. CryptoSolve, I think, has been doing some analytical posts around that as well.
Yeah, he has.
But it's amazing how I kept hearing, Hex keeps getting dumped. You keep seeing the pulse whale, it's getting dumped. And I'm looking at the price and it's not going down that much. I'm like, that feels pretty strong. I like that. Let's go.
Yeah, for the longest time, people were so worried about that Bank X, right? Now they all forgot about it because there was somebody else. I mean, if we get too worried about the wallet watching and the people who have a lot of Hex, you're going to be worried all the time. So, it is definitely good to see that it rebounded so quickly. It didn't really get hurt too badly. And we're right back to where we were before it all started. So that's definitely beneficial.
I think a lot of this is just noise a lot of times. I mean, the way I look at it is I'm not, until I see stuff really start moving, wouldn't be surprised if prices on the air chain keep ping ponging back and forth 500 times. We're going to talk about it from time to time. We're going to get some green candles. We're going to get some red candles. But until, the markets start moving, ETH is hitting, breaking all time highs, all the stuff that a lot of people believe about the macros are happening, and it looks super bullish again. But I don't know, maybe September, October, something like that. Hopefully we'll get moving more. But until then, I don't know. I treat a lot of this noise. I don't look at the price charts too much.
I hear you.
Sorry for whatever I've missed, but finally back here, although it be by phone. But let me ask you, Max. So, there's been a lot of conjecture, obviously recently too, because this has been a weird cycle. Like Bitcoin has been like the only thing really so far, other than like Solana, I guess you would say. But that's causing, over the last year, I mean, really in 2024, like many people were talking about, what about a cycle that runs into 2026, whether it maybe just within the first quarter of 2026, like maybe the highs of BTC and or ETH or altcoins is in by March of 26. No, you just kind of set a timeline there. You said like maybe October to December, but what do you think the likelihood of that is at this point? Like, are you thinking, because Ewok and I have been talking about this, Ethereum actually topped in January of that would have been 2018, 2 cycles ago. Not that that's wildly different from saying October to December, but it is different. And especially with how, again, weird this cycle has been for Ethereum. So I'm curious, do you think we want to run longer? What do you think the chances could be? And if we do you think that's a good thing?
I don't. The way I'm looking at it is, again, it's just pure based off of just what I see in the markets. Again, not financial advice. I'm not TA. I don't do all that stuff. Just based.
You're going to get sued. Be careful.
Based on who I talk to and the things I see and my instinct too, I could totally see us going into. I mean, it could be into 2020 because it's not like this. I don't know if you guys watch Cairo Crypto. You guys ever watch him? The guy, he's been on the conference a couple times too. So shout out to Cairo. He does a lot of great videos. Yeah, Cairo Crypto Hex at Cairo Crypto Cairo Hex on YouTube. And he always talks about the debt cycle and how the last video he did was talking about how it's not like 4 years on the dot each time, even though it kind of rhymes with that. It may be around there, but other things are at play rather than just like this magical timing type of deal. So considering that, which I think makes a lot of sense too, I'm totally looking at going in 2026. I hopefully will get some runs this summer and hopefully some amazing marketing, and Interpol will go away, and we get a bunch of happy stuff from that on their ecosystem. But in general, if you think maybe just the feeling I get from what do you call this cycle? The institutional cycle, the government cycle? Who's buying a lot of this stuff? They usually have longer timelines, and what could stop them from purchasing it for just keep hitting the buy button over and over and over for months at a time? Will it go down 80% again? A lot of people say no on that. Let's talk about Bitcoin and even I don't know, I guess you could throw ETH in there as well. But yeah, I could totally see some action happening this summer, later into the fall, and going into 2026. Why not? Why does it have to stop at November 2024? If we don't get started until if nothing's happening, if nothing, if ETH is not at 5 or 6K and Bitcoin hasn't made even more of an all-time high, a lot of the expectations people have for it by November, December. If it's not a good Christmas for us this year, I'm going to be like, okay, that's kind of strange to me, just based on just my gut instinct. But yeah, going into 2026, I'm kind of expecting it. I'm not expecting anything to get a blow off top this year, but I'm certainly hoping we get some amazing price action.
Yeah, I think so too. And I do think I am kind of favorable of the idea of getting into 2026 at this point. I know Ewok hasn't really thought too much about it, but just because Ethereum hasn't run yet, and things just seem to be shaping up that way. Also another thing we haven't been talking about too much lately is the Fed not cooperating with Trump. There's headlines every other day about Trump's going to fire Jerome Powell, which I think we all know is not something that is or can happen. Although he may be able to pressure him in some way. And we see there was a fake headline just yesterday about Powell's going to be stepping down. Jerome Powell has already said this upcoming FOMC at the end of the month, they're still not going to be cutting rates. So maybe that has to do with it too. I mean, think about that fact. We still don't have much of a Fed pivot under this Trump administration yet. Could that kick things down the road a little bit more? I don't know if you have any opinions on some of that macro stuff.
Definitely Jerome Powell as what you guys watch the All In podcast with Chamath Palihapitiya and those guys?
I don't think I ever have. No.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. They're like Silicon Valley investors, and they talk about, it's got David Sachs, who's now the crypto AI czar.
There.
Okay. David Freeberg, what do you call Powell recently? Prudent. So he's, I think that's a pretty accurate description. I mean, of course, we want him to no, turn the money printer on, pump our bags. But I think, just personal opinion, I think he's just doing what he sees. He's looking at the data and being like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. Things aren't that bad or something yet. Now, whether he waits too long and too late Powell and all that stuff, we'll see political pressure to step down. I don't know. I think, is that pin-up energy if he never steps down and he just finishes his term? I think it's over in 2026 sometime. Is all that just do we just pump slower into that and then blow off top happens after, money printer turns back on for Q2, Q3, 2026? That wouldn't be too shocking either. But in the meantime, I don't know. It almost feels like I don't want this to happen, but Black Swan, where Powell's like, nope, we're good. That's what I need to see. I want to avoid that. Let's do the quantitative easing, all that fun stuff, and go from there. So I don't know. Yeah, definitely. He's got, I don't know. Can he withstand the pressure from the executive branch in the meantime? Probably has a lot of support there, and different places in government as well too, because they probably think he's doing the right thing. But yeah, for crypto bags, we want to see him go up. So can we have both? Can we have it both ways? It's hard to say.
Yeah, I think we can have it both ways. I think that people often forget how short that hockey stick pattern usually really is. It's over 8 weeks. It does not take long. So once it goes and once it takes off, it runs. So people, need to remember that a good cycle is really only, condensed into 2 months. So it could be over by December. If it takes off in October, sometime September, October, it could be done by December, and we could be, right where I think it will be. And that's early first quarter of 2026 is where we see the top of just about everything.
You think the cycle is going to be over before Trump coin makes new highs? I feel like maybe that's the indicator too. Like, is Trump and Millennia Coin made new all-time highs yet? That's not over till they make new all-time. We need to cash out. We need to be billionaires again. Yeah.
Well, it runs like everything else. You got the Bitcoin top, and then it kind of historically 28 days later is Ethereum's top, and then it kind of trickles into altcoins, and that's about it. So I'm still thinking no later than February. I think we'll end things in January, early February, early to mid February. But I just don't see it going much further than that.
We've even discussed, I think we were just saying last week, Ewok, I mean, that wouldn't like invalidate the 4-year cycle or something. I mean, it would be welcome, if it came a little bit later, I think, but it's not as if like, a top 2-3 months later than everybody thought. Doesn't mean like we're on a new paradigm, the 4-year cycle is over or anything like that. Right?
No, not at all. But going deep into 2026, I think would.
Oh, yeah. I agree with that. Yeah.
Well, people are out there worried about like, oh, we're going to miss the cycle and it's over. And this is, it's different this time or whatever. I don't know. I'm kind of like, am I going to have enough time to, if you're out there DCAing, if I'm out there DCAing and stuff, am I going to have enough time before, to get the most X's, to get the 10,000, another 10,000 X? Am I able to do that on PulseChain? I'm more concerned about not having a big enough bag that I want versus that it's not going to happen. So hopefully that's bullish.
There is one other scenario, and that is RH likes to be center stage, right? Does he delay pumping anything? Who knows? There's a lot of debate on whether that sacrifice address will even rotate anything. Heavily debated. Some people think that shouldn't move at all. Some people think it should, once Ethereum tops out, some of it should move over. I've said on this show before with just us talking that I think just moving it could do wonders, because then you've got a lot of people that front run it. They try to get ahead of what's going to happen, and you don't even need to spend it. Just move it, and I think that would cause a lot of chaos.
I think it'll happen over time. I think I don't know why it seems unreasonable to me that there wouldn't be this, hey, just like, where's the PulseX upgrades? Like, why wouldn't that happen at the right time with the momentum over and over and over, where we do get the greatest run in crypto, where it's just like, we just get maybe, the 8 weeks of the cycle, maybe during those 8 weeks, it is like, it's the greatest time on PulseChain ever too. And just everything, we're getting new upgrades left and right. And the SAC wallet moves and it's buying stuff. And, we onboarded 500 people today, like every day we have all these metrics. And why wouldn't that happen? It's like, that makes sense to me.
That's where I was headed with that whole, maybe because he does like center stage, maybe he waits till things are over. And it is a little bit of a lagging thing. I hadn't thought about that before, but
dude is very good at waiting. Do not underestimate his ability to wait.
For sure.
Very true. And people have talked about that idea. Like, instead of like the folks that are obsessed about like moving the SAC funds or doing something with the SAC funds, they've kind of become the carrot, which I saw somebody put pretty eloquently on Twitter a couple weeks ago. And that's kind of what you just alluded to, Ewok, about like just moving them. It's kind of a carrot. And for all the people that have said, like, we've seen this narrative out there that's like, oh, for people that have called, the SAC wallet like a strategic reserve or whatever, you shouldn't be calling another man's money, your strategic reserve. It's like, well, I mean, Richard himself literally called out the FABDA dude, the Ethereum strategic reserve guy, and said, hey, I think you're missing something, until PulseChain got added and was number 2 or 3 at the time. So I think it's safe to say that he considers it that in some way. Now, whether that means it's all or any going to be used versus any other funds that may be available, who knows? But yeah, I think it's a great point.
I think it'll be marketing for now until it gets at the right price, and then it'll be deployed. That like, again, I'm trying to like logically think through these things and be like, what makes the most sense? If I was Richard, if I was the PulseChain, if I had this, if I wanted glory, if I wanted my crypto to be best in the world, if I wanted to make this huge comeback, if I wanted to make sure the community is like thriving and all that stuff, but even more than what they can, we can only do so much, right? We can only stream so much. We only have so much capital. We only have so much, again, you do the work. I love it. And we can do so much, but Vitalik can help Ethereum a lot. Cardano guy can help Cardano. Like all the founders, they have this power to wield as they choose to. And even if we have no expectations that he'll do this or that, it's certainly a fact that he could help out a lot when and if he wants to. So I think it's marketing until it needs to be used as economic energy. That's my thoughts.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's transition to this real quick. And Max, I know you're probably going to go maybe in, 15 minutes or so. So, let us know if you do. But we wanted to ask you, LibertySwap has been like making waves lately, obviously. It's, the new rage, the quickest way, easiest way to get into PulseChain. Their Twitter account, I mean, they've been posting stuff left and right, like very like ubiquitous on Twitter. It's actually kind of awesome to see how much they're engaged. A lot of people, it was very interesting, and we talked about it on this show back when it happened, but Richard was really the first person, to our knowledge, to post about LibertySwap at all before anybody even knew what it was. And we were just kind of like, well, this came out of the blue. What is this thing? And then we're seeing, again, kind of right on time with Richard's posts about like, there's going to be, there could be massive marketing in the next couple of months. I don't know that what marketing specifically he meant necessarily, but we have some indications as far as mailers. But as far as onboarding and ramps opening up and the amount of engagement that LibertySwap is doing, it certainly seems to be a form of marketing anyway. So it's awesome. I'm curious your take on them as just an entity to get into PulseChain so far. It's interesting the tokens that they have decided to put on there to directly swap into. I'm interested in any thoughts you have on LibertySwap. It's just been very interesting so far.
They've just been kicking ass lately. It's amazing to see. I mean, they came out of nowhere. On that part, I always think that, I don't think Richard directly is behind any of these products or groups or even Pump Tires. I don't think him or directly the PulseChain devs. I always look at it as there's probably groups that have access to him or the devs, and they're like, hey, we want to build this cool thing. And then he's probably, oh, okay, I like that cool thing. I'm going to talk about it. To me, that makes the most sense of like the way it goes. I don't think he's directly behind it. I'm not even sure the PulseChain devs are behind some of these products, such as LibertySwap. But I think that there's this kind of like common, like there's this communication, and then like, he knows about them. Eventually he may know about them first. They're on the pulsechain.com website. I mean, even if they have unverified contracts as of now, for the reasons they've talked about in the threads, they're on pulsechain.com. So it's kind of hard to be like, I don't know. Like I think that's, at least for me, a little bit more sign of confidence, using them, talk about them and stuff like that too. I think they're hitting the hardest problem. They're trying to solve some of the hardest problems we have in getting people on the PulseChain. I think I posted a video the other day about the guy I came across who was using like Venmo and I think Cash App with ZK P2P. And again, all this is like, okay, the process is like, go to zkp2p.io or .com or whatever, use that to get on base or something, take base and use LibertySwap. I think a lot of these is still, even them, they talked about their roadmap, what they want to do, privacy. I talked about that during the privacy stream on Monday too. They're building all these things to make it super easy to get into PulseChain with your app, with a lot of common apps people use, with Arbitrum and Robinhood and all that stuff. So I think that same thing with Pump.Tires, LibertySwap, all these different services that Richard's talked about are on pulsechain.com and all that. They are, I think, they're community efforts, and they're being built to, again, get people in and not be like, go to Coinbase, Bridge, do the thing, wait 30, like all that stuff, giving people the easiest way to access these products. Mm-hmm. And they seem super motivated, and there's no token attached. There's all this kind of like, I'm kind of inspired by that too. There's a lot of this just, hey, we just want to make this thing great. And I'm sure, there's probably aligned incentives with having core coins and all that stuff too. But they literally just want to, from what I've seen so far, from all the posting and stuff they've been making and all the stuff and all the reviews and people been using them and all that stuff too, they're trying to just help us, give us the easiest path, the most frictionless way to get people in the PulseChain. And I think it's only going to get better. Like there's going to be, I think they were talking about something around like having integrations and making the process easier. So I want one day to just go to whatever website it is, be able to say, okay, I've got Cash App, I've got Venmo, I've got whatever thing, I've got money on Robinhood or something, and just be like, take that, put it on PulseChain. And I think we're taking baby steps, but I think we're getting closer to that. So they've been, from all I've seen so far, been doing amazing work. So I'm excited about that. That's super bullish to me. That's what we need.
Yeah, I agree. Minimal fees. Their marketing has been great. And they just keep adding more. We were talking last week. They just upped the limit to $10,000 a transaction with unlimited transactions. So I think that's as big as it's gotten. I mean, you could probably bridge $1 million over at once if you had it on the Ethereum chain. I believe. I know there is a limit of some sort, but you could put pretty high levels over. But as far as onboarding with card or bank or whatever it may be, I think 10,000 is pretty good number to get started with anyway.
I think absolutely, yeah, and just smooth transition. The fact that they're doing it through multiple chains, I think, is really huge. One thing to keep in mind also is, there's a lot of people who are, and this isn't like a negative for them necessarily, but if you are turning fiat into USDC or a stablecoin on the blockchain, you do still have to go through an exchange of some sort first. So I think that's still something out there, which does kind of lead me to another question. It's something I know Ewok wanted to ask you about, Max. We haven't been talking about 0x Coast a lot lately, which has been kind of the MVP of onboarding into PulseChain over the last, year and a half. I don't know. Ewok and I both use it a lot. Love it. I do wish the CST token were $1 usually and not 98.5 cents. But, I know that's something that they're working on, which we're going to get to. But it's another... I don't think it can be understated how great of a way that is to get into PulseChain. Not because of the easiness of it, especially if you have an Old Glory bank account that you can just hook up right to their protocol, use the Old Glory Pay app, and send literally fiat right onto their platform. But you're bypassing other exchanges. There's still KYC with Coast, but I tend to trust them more than I do like a random Coinbase, Kraken, Gemini account, whatever it may be. So I just don't think it can be understated. You can connect your bank right to it, and it's awesome. So I'm curious, right now, what is your kind of preferred way for getting into the ecosystem like the DCA, and where would you most commonly refer a new onboard or somebody looking to get into it? Because Coast, I think, is the most relatable way to somebody who maybe is not way into crypto yet.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Coast. They've relentlessly put into work. I mean, so many times where they've had issues, resolved them, or banking partnerships or whatever for years now. I feel like they've been building and trying to make this thing work and answering questions. I hear their Telegram's just really good support and really good getting people the service they need with the product. So for me, onboarding people, I think it's so interesting to I think different people kind of there's different ways to do it. So one is, of course, direct fiat with Coast. But the friction there is you got to get people to sign up and trust a new service that isn't Coinbase, isn't Kraken, isn't Binance, isn't some household name. So I think it depends on, the type of person you're talking to. Is it somebody already in crypto who kind of knows these things and they can vet it, all that? Or is it somebody new who you're kind of you don't have any preconceived notions? You can, there's a new service here that's got all this, maybe they got some great Trustpilot ratings or something like that. That can make them more comfortable doing it. Because it is, I mean, there is KYC, there is this bank account thing, and nobody wants to get their bank account drained. Nobody wants to, identity stolen, all that stuff. So making sure that's a comfortable process, that's its own thing and may appeal to different people depending on how technical they are, how new they are to crypto or not. The thing I think that LibertySwap and them are going after, which is really, it makes it really easy too, is you don't need to sign up for a new service. They're kind of leveraging you already have. It's kind of reminds me of OAuth login. It's a nerd tech thing, but instead of creating a new account for all these websites, you can just do, hey, I have a Google account, I have an Apple account, and just sign in. So to me, that's the analogy with some of the cross-chain swaps and bridges and stuff. Instead of being okay, you need to set up and KYC and all that, you can just, hey, I have money in Cash App, I have money on Base, I have money in Coinbase, and just swap it there and get them in. I think that's more I think the app thing is more appealing to new people to crypto to get into PulseChain. Although after their words, you're going to have to, maybe MetaMask and Internet Money, whatever, and show them how to do DeFi stuff. But also people already in crypto, they're yeah, maybe I got $500 on Base. I'm not, I'm done playing over there. I want to come to a new chain, and they can easily get on the PulseChain and start playing with stuff from there. So two of the major, I mean, that's probably the two biggest ways you get capital in PulseChain. One, directly fresh capital from bank account, new money, but you got to convince the people that this is trustworthy service. Again, we all know they're trustworthy, that we know they've been around for a while, but new people in crypto, depending on their experience and their trust level and risk level and stuff too, that may be harder to do, maybe some more friction in the process versus, hey, you've already got, remember that Coinbase account you created 8 years ago? It better check for Bitcoin Ethereum, by the way, real quick. It might have went up. You could take that and there's this new chain, PulseChain, and just you go to, LibertySwap and do it. So there's different conversation with different people, but those are the two biggest, I guess, funnels into PulseChain. And we need both of them. Like we need native stablecoins. We need direct bank account. Ramp.io. I think it's not available in America right now. Hopefully that'll change too. But we need more of the, hey, I have money, I want to get in PulseChain. And we also need to make it super easy to be like, I have money in crypto, I need to get it to PulseChain. So there's two different ways to approach it, but both of them are super important that we need. Yeah, those are great. Shout out to both of the teams, all the teams doing stuff like that.
Agreed. Ewok, I know you had a real quick question on first on what they're doing as well right now.
Yeah. So how familiar are you with the Tide protocol, Max?
That's the I've heard of Tide. It's a OX Coast protocol, right?
Yes. So basically what it is, it's another fork of what was it? Was it Maker?
I'm not sure
Maker.
What it is actually.
Not Maker. Aave, maybe. Either way, it's a balancer. I'm sorry, it's a balancer fork. So their theory behind it was that they could, because as he said earlier, the CST token often sits around 98.5, 99 cents, which, you get a lot of it and you exchange it, you're losing, a penny a dollar pretty much. So they're going to use this balancer as a way to do loans and combine tokens like CST, USDL, what was the other one? The HexDC, and there's one more. I forget which one they
PDI. I think
it wasn't PDI.
Okay.
Nice try, but either way,
chat's gonna go nuts now.
Yeah, well, they're already talking about it.
Yeah, I saw that, and we will answer that question. Anyway,
we can't answer that, but so originally Stoic had made the post, and I don't know if you saw it or not, but I'm gonna pull it up here.
I have not. No, yeah.
Right now, this was
a couple weeks ago.
A couple weeks ago, it was brought up, and let me zoom in here so people can see it a little bit. But it said, if we removed sell and burn and replaced them with forced borrowing against your Pulse assets using the Liquidity forks, would you stop using our product? In effect, you would only ever to be able to off-ramp 90% of the value you wanted to. So instead of the sell and burn feature, they were talking about a forced loan. So, I think he was just getting to feel the pulse for the whole thing and how people felt about it. Obviously, there was a lot of pushback that said, well, we would stop using you because, if we want to sell completely, we would want to do that and we would just use a different route. I think their thought was, well, it reduces a lot of sell pressure. And I think Coffee was one that had also then brought up down here. Yeah, he said here, I think lots of potential high net worth people would want it as advertised. Exiting tax-free via forced liquidation would be appealing to people such as myself, which is another interesting take, right? I know there are some jurisdictions where a forced liquidation results in zero tax implication. So even though you're only getting 90% of your worth, it's tax-free. So to some people, that would be attractive. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that whole thing. Like I said, this is several weeks ago. This was June 24th or so. And I think there was enough pushback where they said, well, okay, fair enough. We'll give you the choice. But what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, my first instinct when I just think about, because I've spent a lot of time, I consider myself a dev, but I've created products, I've code, thought about a lot about UI over time and making everything frictionless as possible. Go real DeFi, literally big button, click, go to thing, go to thing, go to thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really conscious about like making it not confusing and not like even the terms and language and all that stuff too. Yeah, for this, I don't know. Like I'm trying to fast forward to and be like, okay, I want to onboard somebody using Xerox Coast, and could I tell them that you can just you can put money in, you get the stable coin, you buy whatever you want, and when you want to get out, you do the burn. You burn the stable coins, and I guess that's the function that puts it into your account.
Yep.
Even that's like sell and burn. Even the language there is kind of like you have to learn what they mean in a certain way too. So, but would you be able to say that, or you'd be like, oh, I mean, it kind of works that way, but like I'll show you. See, that's the friction that gets inserted that I try to stay away from with a lot of stuff. So, like in this one, then the tech side of me kicks in. It's like, okay, making it an option, but somehow incentivizing it would make sense to me. Where you would be like, okay, there's two different options. You can just participate normally, and that's the default. Or, here's a carrot, like, you earn some tokens, or, I think you can stake the weight tokens and stuff and get discounts on fees or whatever. Maybe the fees even there's some incentive to do the off ramp 90% type of deal. That's the way I would, that's my first instinct when I looked at it. Make the language, make the lingo, make selling the product, make the elevator pitch as simple as possible. Because anything, when you especially when you're trying to sign somebody up new for something, if there's any kind of doubt or any kind of like complexity, if you don't sell it as simple as possible, and if it's not what they're expecting, you get them in, and then they're like, well, shit, I can't get all my money out now. Like that's not a good experience either. Like you wouldn't want to set somebody up to do that. So I would say make the UI like I just thinking myself. I think a default, like the way it works, the elevator pitch, the thing would probably work the best for onboarding, and then somehow incentivize the other piece. But now the whole feature is coming full circle where it's like, well, does that work? Does that provide it? Are we going to get enough people to do that to then solve the problem we're trying to solve, which is make sure we're as close as possible to $1 at all times using balancer and all that, which makes me remember, isn't PHUX? Isn't it the balancer fork? And don't they have CSD pools in there? Is that just not enough liquidity to help?
Well, there's only one pool that involves CST, because I looked just the other day. I was thinking the same thing. And it's 80% USDC, 20% CST. So it's not close enough. I mean, they're not technically they should be. If it is $1 and it costs you $1 to get it, it should be, as far as I'm concerned, balanced with USDT, USDC, and DAI. If you're going to balance it with anything, that would be where I would start. If you want to keep it as close to $1, I think that's where I would start it. And you put equal liquidity of all of them, and keep it tight. You would probably have to buy a bunch in order to get it up to $1, but then balance it out with the rest of the other stable tokens. So
there may be some reason why it's hard to do, or not helping as much as they thought it would, or something. So then this ideal comes to light of like, oh, here, should we do a balancer fork to do that? But I would just say, like, as far as onboarding, make it as simple as possible. There's no room for questions. This is how it works, and just people get what they expect.
But I don't think does FUX have a loan protocol? Can you take loans on that?
That I'm aware of.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So it's almost like it sounds more to me like a combination of balancer and liquid loans kind of together all in one. But I'm not sure. It just sounds interesting. They've been very cryptic on descriptions of it. Also, they say it's balancer, but then they also talk about the loans, which isn't balancer. So again, I'm not 100% sure what it really is, but I just thought it would be neat to get that token, pegged to $1 a little bit closer.
And so is Tide, is there a token called Tide involved in this, or is Tide just the platform that this would be using?
Well, I think Tide is the, I guess it would be like the loan token.
I think there will be a token. Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Interesting. Yeah, I mean,
Tide Pod.
hopefully you get some more details about it too. But yeah, as far as UI goes, I'm very, so you can see the stuff I build, usually I'm like, make it where you cannot click the wrong button. Make it where you get exactly what you expect every single time. So not just for PulseChain people, but for the new people who, they're just introduced to PulseChain. They're like, oh, I had a great experience and I don't have to get all my funds back and forth. That's I think it's important.
Very similar to RH himself. RHMax, likes the simplicity. So good stuff.
Bitfinesse made a comment here earlier that I wanted to touch on too. And I know I said some jurisdictions do that, but most of them, if you get a loan, he's completely right. If you get a loan, that's tax-free. If it liquidates, that becomes a taxable event. But I know there are some jurisdictions where the liquidation isn't. But I'm pretty sure in most of the United States, if you become liquidated, that does incur a taxable transaction. So he did mention that, and I wanted to bring it up too, not so that people weren't confused that it's tax-free everywhere.
If you guys ever want to have a tax guy on the show, Carlos D. Quintana, I've had him on the show a couple times already. He's really good. I think he does like financial advisor stuff, tax advisor. Every time there's new tax in crypto, I've had him on the show a few times. So if you ever want to have him on I think I probably even have clips of him talking about liquidations and all that stuff too. And, of course, back in the day when the sacrifices and all the different strategies and stuff on that, he's really good. So.
Awesome.
I know Corey Geary has a guy that helps him with the crypto tax.
Chris something. I think his name's Chris.
Yeah, I think his name's Chris. They're pretty good too. So there's a lot of people with a lot of knowledge that isn't me. So definitely check with them.
Gents, I appreciate you having me on, and again, I'm gonna be listening in a little bit as well. But thanks again for doing the show and covering these really cool topics. Like I love ripping with you guys. Hopefully, we'll do some more in the future.
Absolutely,
definitely.
I'll be in touch
about
appreciate
everything you're doing. Of course, too.
Thank you.
Thanks, Max.
See you guys.
See ya.
Yeah. RHMax, give him a round of applause, chat. We appreciate him being here. And with his exit, I guess we could transition. We're still talking about kind of the same thing, but going back to the LibertySwap thing, and this is one of Ewok's, he actually picked out this question because he wanted to answer it. If you want to put up that Icky or Ike comment about PDI and related to LibertySwap, he said, I would really love you guys' viewpoint on this. They, meaning LibertySwap, explicitly gives users the chance to directly swap to PDI and PWBTC. What do you guys feel about this? I think it's interesting because there aren't a lot of other tokens they give you the opportunity to do that with. It's mainly, I'd have to, and you know what? Maybe in the background I will while we're talking. I
can't find the comment. That's why I was looking for it.
It was at 7:05. That's okay. I mean, if you can't, it's okay.
I'll find it. I was looking for it.
But the reason I find it interesting is, there you go, because there aren't really that many to swap into. Okay, I have it up now. Here is the list. And keep in mind, the PDI ones were added a couple of weeks ago, too, a week or two ago, which, I mean, everything's moving very fast with this platform right now. But you can swap from like USDC on Ethereum or Binance Chain or whatever else to USDC on Pulse, WETH, DAI on Pulse, PulseX, Hex, the PulseChain version, Inc, CST, USDL, PXDC. I don't think we mentioned that one yet. PDI, PWBTC, Teddy Bear. It's basically the Atropa main coins in the ecosystem other than Atropa. Calm, which I think must be a new development, and Hedron. Some of that, some of it's a little weird because Hedron, but not Icosa. I don't know. I don't really get that, but I don't see PTGC here, which is, everybody's universal winner of meme coins on, the blockchain here. So I find it interesting, especially because it is, I'm not somebody who thinks that PDI has had an exploit and is a scam and yada, 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 but there are people that are, and it is interesting that PWBTC and Bear, which, somebody like B Roots would tell you that's the fake Bear. The real one's the new Teddy one that
whoever it created. Yeah, I find it interesting. And to me, it's another little feather in my cap of the reason that I'm invested in those tokens to a far lesser degree than the core tokens. But anyway, what do you make of that, Ewell?
Well, listen, as much as I don't care for PDI, and I've sold all of mine because I don't believe it will ever peg. I don't think that I'm not naive enough to realize that I know people are being onboarded to it, right? The goal of this whole thing is to get people on this chain. The goal is not to save people. I mean, and I think in their opinion, if they want to buy something, they want the easiest path with no resistance, right? So give it to them, right? Give the people what they want. If they want an easy way to get into something, they're going to give it to them. They're making, I'm sure they're making a little bit in fees on every transaction, whatever it is. You don't want to just limit people to Pulse, PulseX, Incentive, and Hex. As far as I'm concerned, open it up, let them buy what they want to buy. You increase your audience, you increase your customers. Whether you agree with it or not, whether I agree with it or not, it doesn't really probably matter. So that's where I stand. And I think the tool being the tool, Richard said about it because he trusts it. It's probably safe. Whether, again, it's buying what something that he supports or not, it doesn't matter. It's helping people get onto the chain in the first place. And if they eventually buy into one of the cores, then better, right? If they don't, then it is what it is. But I think the value of the chain itself is more important at this point, and getting people here to discover the Hex, which that's why we're here in the first place. I mean, that is a fact. Hex is the reason PulseChain exists. So I just think that getting them here is the most important part of it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I guess I would also think that something like PTGC or UFO or one of these other huge ones that have popped off would be there. And I would think that like Teddy Bear wouldn't be there, honestly. But I don't know. It is interesting, and I like it. So, yeah, we will see. I mean, there's a lot of I'm sure more stuff is going to be added. I mean, by no means do I think that'll be the end of what they're adding into there. And keep in mind, with development stuff like this, think back to the PulseX lack of developments from whenever it was launched and everybody, having sand in their collective private areas about there not being single-sided staking on PulseX right away. And, but Richard said and stuff. And it was like 2023, everything's still completely down and to go down even further. And, you want to trickle things out. You know what I mean? So maybe even I am reading in too much to the fact that of the few tokens they have listed on LibertySwap so far to swap to, PDI is one of them. I mean, it could just be stuff that they're trickling out. But my point is just that, let's just be patient and see what happens as these things are developed, I think. So, yeah.
Well, and now that we look back on it and how many things that were the yield was cut essentially, right? And everybody wanted single-sided staking for PulseX. Well, that would have probably played against the main goal is to cut the inflation rather than increase it. So because Pulse can only deflate, where do those Pulse come from? So if you're single-sided staking, I guess you would have to reward possibly the incentive token instead. I guess that's where it could come from. Just trying to think, in the grand scheme of things, after all of the inflation had been reduced so much back then, people didn't realize that was probably the goal. That's what will help boost the prices is when the inflation goes down. So that's why we still don't have it, still haven't seen it. I think the inflation needed to be handled, and it was. Now it's got to become a scarcity, right? We've got to. There's less and less of them available on the network all the time. So if you're paying attention how much Hex is for sale, that number keeps going down and down and down. Yes, there are some bigger people that have been getting out recently, but it slowly dries up, and you saw how well it bounced back. Some of those candles just immediately bought it right back up. So that was very encouraging.
Yes, I totally agree. Viper Style, shout out to you in the chat for, I couldn't agree more that the term scam, especially in crypto, I think really overall, but especially in crypto, is way overused. You see a scam, tell me about it, because I will buy it. Anyway, as we've learned over the last few years. So if you guys are enjoying the stream so far, do us a favor, peg that like button. We'll bend over. We'll take your peg all night long. We appreciate all of you guys being here. Let's go into this. And I'll be honest with you, Ewok. We'll go as far as we can. I am bored to tears by the idea of talking about the Genius Act and all the notes I have on it. And I don't know how you feel, but real quick first, anyway, I do want to make sure we get to this. Is we talked about the SAC wallet earlier, the wallet that holds the sacrifice funds that came from PulseChain, PulseX, and how that wallet made an Ethereum buy, of course, right around the price that we are at right now for Ethereum, a little bit higher. Ethereum's had a modest pullback. There you go. We got to look into it right now, pulled up on the screen. So when that buy was made, it was about, I don't know the exact number. If it's on that screen, you can tell us, around $3,700, $3,800 ETH. And that was in 2024 after about 6 green monthly candles for Ethereum in a row. And then we saw Ethereum basically collapse to literally, it went down, few remember it because it was a quick period of time, but got down to about $1,400 there a few months back. It was very ugly. Since August, almost a year ago now, August of last year is when Ethereum really tanked against Bitcoin. So, of course, this wallet, Richard Hart, whoever, was widely panned, made fun of, shat on by people within the PulseChain community. I remember when there were spaces every single night about PDI and everything else, and just criticisms about, this Ethereum buy and, this wallet buying the top and how stupid it is and everything. No, we're not here I'm not to say all that. We're not here to victory lap. All it is back to even. You know what I mean? This, ideally, this wallet would have bought Ethereum at $850 in the bear market. That would be pretty sweet. It didn't happen. So all we are is not even, quite back to even right now. So it is fantastic we're back here. It is important to keep a long-term vision that I think this purchase was made because of what Ethereum may be able to do this cycle, which could be getting to 12K, 15K. Even if it gets to 10K, this wallet's in pretty good shape with, how much is in there. But what do you make just about the fact that we are back here anyway, Ewok, back to kind of being made whole again? Some of that criticism along the way. And the argument that we've talked about for quite a while now of why that buy may have been made at that time.
Well, let's start with that, why it was made at that time. And I think that's the most important thing that we kind of have to keep going back to. When the buy was made, there was what I believe, this is all my opinion, I don't have any, knowledge of this, truthfully, but when that was made, that was when the SEC launched their case. I do believe there was a fear of the DAI or the stable coins being frozen, wallets being frozen, wallets being blacklisted, whatever it was. And I think that's why all of the DAI rotated into Ethereum. At that point, basically, you can do things with Tornado or Railgun or the different things that you need to do to mask transactions if you really need to use it. So there are ways around it. With DAI, they can freeze it. They can freeze your assets. They can do different things to make it very, very difficult. I think that's why the Ethereum was bought at that time. Next, Richard has always been I'm going to buy this and I'm going to hold it. Look at his Bitcoin. He's had it since he started in 2010, 2011. He holds things forever, right? And, he even has mentioned many times about kind of kicking himself for not selling the 20K top when he called it on the day. So we know he's long term, right? He's not in this for a quick pump and dump. We know he buys things and he holds them. So it goes to back to the other thing of people saying, man, I wish I would have done this or this cycle. I'm like, guys, it's not even over yet. How do you know that's what you wish you would do? Like,
Right.
It just baffles me on how many people are second guessing themselves and what they've done when the cycle hasn't even reached its top yet. Like we're not even there to determine, well, what really should you have done? Because you're saying that now, and then this goes on to make a 50 or 100 or whatever, 1000x. Say it does 1000x. Would you still say you wish you had bought Solana instead? Like it just, people need to back up, look at the bigger picture, and just have a longer time frame. Yes, we all want to be instantly wealthy tomorrow. I get it. I get it. It would be so nice to quit my job and not rely on an income like that.
I'm reporting this to your supervisor tomorrow morning.
Go ahead. He knows it. I've gotten him into crypto actually, so it is no surprise. But people have to step back and take the longer term. You're going to appreciate it more. You're going to blow less probably if you do that, rather than the whole sudden wealth thing. If you find yourself a multi-millionaire overnight, you'll probably end up dead or broke, honestly. So it's a fact. Look at a lot of lottery winners and how they lose their fortune almost within a couple years because they can't handle it. I think it's super important for people to build a steady wealth over a little bit of time, where you kind of get used to having that money and you get used to feeling wealthy before you actually get a chance to spend it. So that's my thoughts on it. Like I said, going back to why it was bought, to the long-term hold. I don't think he cares. I don't think he cares that it's down. 3% is $24 million. That's crazy to me. Every 1% it went up, I think, was $11 million, or I forget what it was. It was crazy, a crazy number, maybe 6 million for every percent. I don't remember, but just craziness. But yeah, it's a long-term hold. Like I said, I think it'll move around. I don't know how much of it will be sold or rotated in. I don't think it matters at this point. It's just about the long-term hold of it, though.
Well, and that's the point also that you just made, Ewok, is people are underestimating how much money this is. Good comment, Brown Conservative Capitalist. People are underrating how much this is. Like, even at a $10,000 ETH, this is well over $1 billion. So what, 1.5, $1.7 billion. So you have to keep that in mind. And I know, like, yes, what if, if it was bought at the $1,400 ETH local low recently, if it was bought at $850, why, if you're going to second guess to buy at $3,800, why wouldn't you be second guessing? There's plenty of time to buy ETH at $1,000 or a little bit less in 2022. I guess that actually would have been. So, and I'm not like blaming anybody for that. I'm just saying, like you're saying, Ewok, it's the long-term mindset, and picking times on a chart, you can make any argument at any time that you want to. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that parable that I'll never remember, but basically that every single thing in life that happens to you, it's like, oh shit, man, like I wrecked my car and XYZ. And then as a result from that is whatever, something good that happened. I'm not creative enough on the spot to think of how the whole thing goes, but something happens, it's perceived to be bad, something really good comes from it. Something from that really good thing, something bad comes from it, but then something good comes from that. It's just how you perceive and react at different times.
I used to like Viper Styles.
Yeah, Viper Styles, that is accurate, I believe. Just doing the math in my head. So
how old does he think I am?
I don't know. I will only
be 10 years. You think I'm 85 now?
I'll only be 40. So yeah, that's crazy. I did see a good comment. Well, we'd be moving away from this topic, but this, I mean, I'm happy to see this trade back here. With Ethereum, it's still not good against Bitcoin. I mean, the ratio is like 0.3 right now, but it is starting to come back. And again, A $10,000 Ethereum would be universally agreed to be horrible for this cycle. That would be a 2x off of where it was last cycle. Its ratio against BTC would still be very bad. This wallet would be worth like $1.7 billion though at that price.
Yeah.
At 10K. So keep that in mind. Do you have any final thoughts on this?
No. I mean, I think like I said, this kind of gets back into that wallet watching thing where we both believe that we probably shouldn't do it. Everybody's going to do it. But again, it's not our money to spend. I think it could do a lot of things just sitting there. All you have to do is move it. All you have to do is move it. You don't have to spend any of it. So I think that's how it'll be played. Yeah. So but
I think
that's all I got on it.
I think it'll also be tested too, and we've kind of seen this in the past. You look at like March of 2024 when we pumped pretty well. Like PulseX got up to sack rate. Actually, people probably forget, but I think it could also be used to deke in a little bit of money and to see how people react. You want to test the exit liquidity. Or the sellers,
right.
What did he say? Sorry.
This is a good comment. It says, I believe you get emotionally battle tested in the bear market, so you appreciate the wealth you build in the bull.
Yeah.
Very good comment.
100%.
And the more bear markets you go through, the more battle tested you become. Like for me, this one really didn't hurt. It sucked seeing down prices, but it didn't hurt mentally as it did before. So I think the more of them that you go through and hold through, not just go through, but the more that you hold through, the more you appreciate it. So,
and I think something that he's also getting to is like, I know I've been thinking recently too, like if money does start to come in, your ideas of what you're going to do with that and your goals may change a little bit because you remember those bad times. I'm not saying you start to live your life like you experienced the Great Depression or something like that, which one of us on this channel have kind of done. But you might pare down the toys you want to buy later or whatever because you remember that shitty time, and maybe you're just thankful for like the freedom. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Awesome conversation there. I don't want to talk about the Genius Act if we can avoid it.
I'm fine with that. We don't need to.
Long story short, people that are celebrating it left and right, I think are definitely missing something as far as more government control over stablecoins. But maybe we can get into it next week. We had a good conversation with Max. I wanted to acknowledge this comment from Eddie Gastelum here. It was from 7:30 if you happen to find it. He said, you guys don't think Richard Hart's marketing campaign, or the one that Richard is aware of anyway, is too late in the season? This is a good question. I think other people have probably thought of this. It is almost the end of July, and a lot of people, it's going to be their first true bull cycle. And it's like, okay, I've heard everything that by October, December, everything's going to be at all-time highs. It's almost August, and I'm not really seeing this campaign yet. Again, Ethereum's at $600 right now. What do you make of that, Ewok? I mean, we talked earlier in the show how quickly, things can happen in a very small, controlled period of time with that hockey stick. But yeah, what do you think? Because I think other people might ask this too.
Well, again, it's only July. If we're going till December, how? Like I'm not sure. Maybe Eddie can expand on what he thinks the season, or how late the season is going to go. I guess I kind of need to know what he's thinking on how far it is.
Well, I think I get it.
I think I think it's right on time. I think if this starts even in a month from now, it's going to be about the very beginning of the major actually curve up this way. So I think it's pretty good on the timing as far as that goes. I don't think it's too late. I think you kind of want to hit it right at the very beginning so that people hear about it, and then they hear about it again, and they hear about it again. They hear about it a couple times because it's now started to go up like crazy, and they're like, well, what is this thing? I got to get in. That's when the FOMO really kicks in. I think it's pretty good as long as it happens within a month, I would say, from now. If it goes on later, could be. We'll have to see. We'll have to see when these packages actually go out and start delivering. I haven't heard about them yet. The last I knew, they were still in containers, sitting in a FTZ waiting for documents. So that's the last I had heard.
And I do think I get where Eddie's coming from, because it does seem hard to imagine, like, wow, all this is going to happen in this short period of time.
That's when it happens.
Well, as far as the price is going up, but I think he also means specifically the marketing, because if there's allegedly, some sort of packaging with a video, there's a battery, maybe there's a sort of sensual toy included. We don't know what it is, and he might be thinking, boy, how's this stuff going to get blasted out to all these people in enough time? I think, I'm not saying that's not going to happen. I just think that's probably where he's coming from, and I think it's probably a valid thought. But I agree that a lot of stuff can happen in a short period of time, and people get these mailers and the charts are already going up and stuff like that. They will figure out how to use it. I mean, this is, I think we do forget, because I do the same thing you do, Eddie. I forget sometimes how quickly things can happen. But with tech these days and everything, you can have one day that you're off work or whatever, and you just launch full bore into crypto, and you understand maybe how to get into PulseChain the next day or something. If you're, within the demographic of somebody like maybe a guy that works an IT job, or mid-30s, something like that. But
Yep, I agree. And the mailers can go out very quickly. Like you can get a whole container mailed in 2 or 3 days. So you can do that rather quickly. And if they go to different areas of the United States to be shipped and sent, it can happen rather quickly. So,
and a follow-up comment here just a couple minutes ago from Digital Money Markets. He says RH times towards the end of the bull cycle, Hex did many X's after ETH topped out. That is exactly true as well. He said it himself many times, and we've talked about it, but he is after glory at this point. Like, he is a wealthy man. I don't think that's anything he cares about anymore. And he wants that moment in the sun. He's had kind of moment in the sun version 1.0. Well, Hex, obviously. And then you have defeating the SEC, which not a lot of people publicly have given him his flowers for that, other than like us and everything. It's not like big outlets care or acknowledging him in any way. And I think he would like to see this after he believes that Ethereum has topped out. Ethereum's not even sniffed all-time high yet. So, and we just talked about it at the top of the show with RHMax. I mean, there is a chance that this could, we could go into 2026. There could be over 6 months left in this. I'm not saying significantly more than that, but 6 months is, quite literally almost like 10 years in the stock market, the amount of things that could happen in crypto. So, I think there's plenty of time, and, he is likely waiting for Ethereum to do its thing for a while first. So,
we have over 1,000 to go to get to Ethereum's previous all-time high. So we've got some time now. You did see, let's do this real quick. I'm sharing it. This happened very quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. Let's measure this out real quick. How many days it went from 2,300 up to 3,800 was 19 days. So that just shows you how quickly things can go. And if these exchanges, and I did hear the other day that the OTC desks are drying up, like there isn't much left in the OTC world. So unless people start putting some more liquidity out there, these prices are going to go a lot faster. That is one of the reasons why a lot of this stuff was being suppressed, is because the OTC markets had so much in there that these major buys weren't hitting the charts, the markets. So that has pretty much dried up. The last I heard, there was no Ethereum left in the OTC, the main OTC market.
That makes sense too. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we are on our way. So, Eddie, I would say to something we've said before, but be patient. We'll see what happens here. And these things can move at breakneck speed. I mean, we've talked about LibertySwap a whole bunch this episode. I mean, look at what we've seen from that in a matter of weeks. Like, it's just literally, they shared their numbers the other day, and their inflows went from, I think, 5 digits, like tens of thousands of dollars for 2 months, to last month being in the millions, actually.
Yeah.
So
pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the definition of hockey stick. So
yeah.
But yeah, great stuff tonight. I think that pretty much covers kind of everything we want to go over. Do you have any kind of final themes, thoughts, anything tonight, Ewok?
I don't think so. Oh yeah, one last thing I guess we can kind of talk about really quick for those saying it's over. We do pull this up once a month or so, maybe. This am I sharing the pi cycle? Yep. So the pi cycle indicator, still a good ways away. You know, for those who don't know what this is, this chart has called the tops the last several cycles on the day. And when these run together and they create 1 point, that is essentially the top. Well, we started to trend that way back here in May. It started to get close and then pulled away again. It's in the process of pulling away yet again. So just wanted to check back in on that. I had it pulled up just to look at it, but yeah, we're not even close.
Yeah, looking good. When the orange and the blue, I think, cross is whenever we're pretty much there. So yeah, it's been pretty reliable. So good idea to pull that up. So long-term view, I think generally people are pretty bullish. I mean, you know, maybe there's some bears out there, but I think with what Ethereum has started to do over the last couple of weeks, it's extremely encouraging.
Yep.
You know, we did just see Pulse get up to this level again. I mean, this was the previous all-time low from the original SEC news 2 years ago. So hopefully we turn this into support. So far for a few days, it's kind of looked like it, and hopefully we hang out at this level. I mean, as I've been saying for the last couple of years, I mean, if I get, you know, spare cash, I'm DCAing it and everything right away. So yeah, we're getting close, I think, to more significant things happening. So
Agree.
Yeah. Appreciate all you guys tonight. Digital Money Markets, XRP Preacher. I've never seen you here before, but welcome. Philly, DJin Moonboy, of course. Viper Styles. We had RHMax on tonight. J Money, Valiant Low Key. I saw Tam Tam in here earlier. Shout out Tam Tam. Icky or Ick or Ike. Good questions from you. J Money, I might have already said that. I don't know. Oh, great stuff from you, Bron Conservative. Yeah, appreciate all of you guys tonight. We do this, if you are new, every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got one more show left in July. We'll see what the Fed ends up doing to wrap up the month. It's probably not going to be anything good. We'll probably talk about that next week. So thank all of you guys for Crypto Ewok. This has been Iron Man, Black Sabbath, Boy Crypto. Rest in peace, Aussie. We'll catch you guys next week.
Catch you later.